Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Toonkind at 12 FPS here at EGAD headquarters. I am your host Carmichael, also known as Mikey, with a brand new microphone as a birthday gift. So if my audio quality sounds different, it's because of that. The box apparently says it's supposed to be a studio quality microphone. Getting it set up was a bit of a pain, but I'm hoping it improves things in the long run. And that also means I can record through two different channels for audio instead of just getting an echo off of my headphones. Speaking of which, let us introduce our other player for today, Hoosh. Say hi, Hoosh.
And I'm here to have a fun time, not a long time.
Alright. Also, I'm not sure why there's blood on my neck. I think that's just dried from something getting open. Okay. Ignoring that. Today our 12 FPS is called There's Two of Them. To quote the SpongeBob joke. Also known as just as There's Two of Them. And the thumbnail has already been posted, but this will be up on YouTube later for listening purposes. The thumbnail was illustrated by Hoosh here, who did a lovely job, I think.
You should.
Now, today I will not be playing Roquefort or Belle or Thor. I will instead be playing Coconut Blossom Sugar Cookie and her lovely dragon companion Meg. Hoosh?
Yes.
Have you told the audience who you will be playing? I might have already missed that. So tell
I'm
them.
playing Verona today, my half-dragon little creature that I will chew on for the rest of my life.
Alright, so let's get right into it. We're going to start with Marana, actually. You're heading back to EGAD headquarters on a nice, cool, breezy summer day. The sun is out, there are clouds in the distance and dappled around the sun in the sky that give the indication there may be rain not far from now. But what sunlight there is dances on the various fronds of the jungle trees, the leaves of various fruit-bearing boughs, and the petals of flowers. It's not too terribly hot for you. It's actually a little nice in terms of temperature. What are you doing at the moment?
Verona is soaring above the canopy, searching for a way to land in the treehouse without actually having to knock on the door, because knocking's a pain, and she's already so far up in the sky that it's gonna be an extra step to just be let in that way.
Understood. As you're flying back toward the treehouse, however, I believe you said your character would get a ping on their sixth sense. How would you describe that happening?
It's sort of like a gut feeling. It's a little bit of the gut clench. Her ears perk up, pupils narrow, and there is that feeling like there is something here that I know shouldn't be here. So she's out of the loop.
And what you sense is draconic in nature, as that is what your sixth sense is tuned towards. As you start flying toward the treehouse, though, you notice that feeling, that gut feeling of detection of that draconic presence starts getting closer. The closer you get to the treehouse. What do you do?
I think Marana is going to go kind of stealthy. So if they're at the treehouse, that means they've probably been invited, but just in case, she's going to try to land on a nearby branch to sort of scout out the area.
Alright, make me a stealth check first.
Stealth check first. Bing, bing, bing. There. I always forget that she has a relatively low stealth.
Yeah, To be fair, she literally glows in the dark. I can't imagine hiding being a strong suit.
I know.
Like, if you glow in the dark, it's a miracle if you're able to hide.
Yeah, no.
Well, it's a good thing that as you get to the treehouse, you kind of notice something a little odd. At first, it feels like you're getting closer to the presence, but once you get to the treehouse, you realize you've gotten a little further away from it. As you look around the treehouse, you don't notice any unfamiliar draconic presences. You know Construct lives here, and Construct is a dragon, but...
She hasn't met Construct yet.
Ah, my mistake. No, you should have met... You should have met him by now.
Nope.
You should at least be aware he's in the treehouse, because you've been here for a damn near a year.
Okay.
At least an awareness.
Vague awareness.
And yet, you don't get anything here. You thought it would have been at the treehouse. You thought maybe it would have been invited, but it's not. There's no dragon here. Huh. What do you decide to do?
Imagining her just looking around rapidly before just going, I guess it's not my problem, but it's also kind of my problem. As she just enters the treehouse to try and find a snack that she doesn't have to hunt for.
Roll me investigation then. Let's see if you can find anything good.
Yay! Investigation? That's 0.
Also, for audience members, if you happen to hear me make a sore sound or a noise of complaint, it is...
Ah, shoot.
Yeah, I don't think you have to add the +0. You can just roll the d20. Yeah. Well, there are snacks here. I don't...
There is snack.
There is snack. Not a lot that you normally partake in, but there are, in fact, some frozen fish sticks.
Yes.
You decide to make yourself some of those.
She's taking the entire bag of frozen.
We'll save some for the rest of the guild.
She will. She just wants to hold the bag. Crunch them like potato chips.
You know if you pull the fish sticks out of the fridge and they thaw and you put them in to refreeze, that's a health hazard, right? You know that as a... You know that, right?
But Morana doesn't know that.
Oh, yeah, fair. So Morana, completely oblivious to the fact that she is about to spoil the entire bag of fish sticks for the rest of the treehouse, just takes the bag for herself like potato chips.
Mm-hmm.
So you sit and you wait. You kind of feel that gut feeling move around a bit, so you can't fully tell where it is, but it's moving. And then eventually you start feeling that gut feeling get tighter as you realize the draconic presence is in fact getting closer. And then closer. And then closer. What would you like to do before they arrive?
She is going to protectively cover the bag of fish sticks with her wings and just give a low hiss.
So you are no longer maintaining stealth?
No, not even. I gave up on stealth. It was piss poor.
Yeah, it was. You hear the door to the treehouse open and close, and you hear voices, or a voice at least. The first voice sounds higher pitched and younger and is definitely not familiar to you. Well, I don't think it went too poorly. I mean, we got a decently sized bear. That's a good fur, I'm thinking. You then hear a grumbling that approaches that at first you think sounds like draconic. But you would know draconic if that was what you heard. It sounds like it And yet when you realize that when you're trying to translate it through, draconic script in your head, it is making nonsense words. And you realize, oh, this is not draconic. Or at least not a kind that I know. Otherwise, why would they be saying mango, pineapple, soup, soup, soup? That would be a very weird combination of words. And as the voices approach, you see what appears to be a cookie the size of a fully grown woman. She has this fluffy, white, frosted hair with these little black seeds in them. She appears to be wearing a suit of armor in yellow and green with a little fur or leaf trim. And has these iridescent eyes where the white frosting that comprises the outside of the eye and the eyelash also makes a narrow kind of pupil for the eye. You're not sure whether it's feline or draconic in any way. And as she heads into the kitchen, behind her follows the presence that you detected, which appears to be what you think looks like a fruit dragon, in a way. Because it looks like a yellow dragon fruit kind of dragon, where it's these yellow, serrated-looking scales with these green-tinted edges and points to them. It has a fluffy mane of white, some sort of fluff or fur. It looks like cream. You're not sure if it's actually fruit, or if that's just, how it has evolved to look. And it has these keen black and green eyes that appear to be just watching the cookie as she approaches the fridge. She has not at all looked at you, but then the dragon turns to look at you. The dragon's the one that looks, not the cookie. As the cookie goes through the...
Yeah? Going to stare back and her nose is going to twitch.
The dragon is going to narrow their eyes. You don't understand what the cookie says, though, as the cookie kind of is speaking in a default that, again, is in that language. It's a sort of mix between common and that language that sounds like draconic but doesn't sound familiar. Is there anything you'd like from the fridge, Meg? 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 And there's a single claw that taps the cookie on the shoulder as she turns, and then she notices you. Oh! Another dragon! Looks like a dragonborn, actually. That's neat. I didn't think they had dragonborn here. You see the dragon grumble, and it's again in that language you thought you understood but didn't. She grumbles back, and so you don't understand what she says next, and then she tries saying in common, "Hey, we're new here. We're with Roguefort. Who are you?" The only word you recognize in the sentence is Roguefort. That's it. Everything else sounds like gibberish.
Trying to process this, and she starts counting on her fingers, and Sylvan is like, "I don't think Rogue's," and Sylvan is near perfect. Sylvan just says, "I don't think Roguefort's here right now if you're looking for him."
Both Dragon and Cookie perk up, and the Cookie says, in Sylvan, Oh, you speak Sylvan. I thought you spoke Common. I'm sorry."
Who needs to learn that?
I guess. I don't know your life position, so I don't know if you would need to know that, but we're not looking for Roguefort. I was trying to say that we were with Roguefort. We're part of his hunting party. Now.
Good luck.
Well, what do you mean, good luck? We've already handled Displacer Beasts and a Jabberwock. As soon as they mention both those things, I assume you don't need to roll for a Displacer Beast, but you will need to roll to see if you know the Jabberwock.
Okay.
So that is Arcana or Nature, one of the two.
And both are 0. So it doesn't matter which one.
On a 13 nature, you've heard of the Jabberwock. You know it's a dragon, or at least a type of dragon, that is only exclusively found in the Feywild, but is still a known threat in the Feywild. Not that many are found at a time, but sometimes it's only as little as one being found every generation or so. That's all you know about them, really. Aside from the fact that apparently there are poems about them, and they're very difficult to kill, and nobody can describe them correctly. You can't describe them either, if you're curious.
She can. Her ears flick up a little at the mention of the Jabberwock, and she's like, oh, yeah, okay. And she's going to stuff another frozen fish stick in her mouth.
Is that your bag of fish sticks, or is that the guild's bag of fish sticks?
Does it matter?
It does, kinda.
I'm going to eat them all anyway.
Does the guild have any more?
Oh, I think because she doesn't remember.
I am going to roll investigation for Coconut Blossom. That is a +7. So give me a minute.
Oh.
She opens the fridge door, closes it, and is going to walk over and take the rest of the bag. You get one more handful, and then she snatches it and walks back over to the fridge and puts it back. You should be so thankful those didn't thaw out just yet. That would have been seriously a hazard. Oh, hi, sweetie. Hi, sweetie. Hi, sassy. Yeah. Yeah. Baby girl. Sorry, this is Kitty 11 hours. Yeah?
Hi, kitty.
Ow!
Oh.
You didn't have to bite me, nerd. Dork. You're the one that bit me. You get a little flick. Rude. Bit my finger. Anyway. So yeah, she just kind of puts the rest of it back and closes the freezer door. I am, however, going to roll a normal d20 to see how far along those fish sticks thawed out before they got put back. Otherwise, she might just have to throw them out. Okay, they were salvageable. They just had to beat a 10.
Okay.
You need to save some for the rest of the guild. You can't just have the entirety of a food stock.
There isn't any good fish in these parts.
There's rivers, there's lake, there's ponds. You have plenty of places to fish, and there's also the market you can get them from.
Mora, who's used to fishing for Arctic cod, it is grown to particularly like a single kind. But they're not frozen fish.
You watch the dragon roll their eyes, and then you hear them say, in a normal Draconic that you can understand, sounds like a skill issue to me.
She's not going to acknowledge that.
Skill issue, get ratioed, idiot. But of course Coco turns and also says in Draconic, Meg. What? I thought we were agreeing on something. Well, yeah, we are, but we don't know how good she is at fishing. We don't need to insult another guildmate of Roquefort's. Okay, well, maybe you don't need to. I'm perfectly fine. I can say whatever I damn well wish. Yeah, until it upsets somebody and we break a rule. Like they're going to care, Coco. Relax. It's another dragon. They could use an ego bruising. Coco rolls her eyes and goes back to the fridge to continue looking for snacks. Meg is going to roll a nature check for you. So give me a minute.
Come on. I'm sorry.
Yeah?
I was going to roll into my hammer space for a cereal bar to offer her.
Alright.
Nice.
Would a 22...
Pulls out like a cinnamon crunchy bar, cereal bar, and offers it to the coconut lady.
She'll notice it in a minute. Let me roll her perception real quick. Your perception is a +3. She does not notice just yet. You hold it out. The dragon looks at it between the bar and you, and would you say a 22 knows what you are?
Yeah.
Okay. And the dragon just narrows their eyes further to the point that they're kind of giving you a distrustful squint. I don't recall a dragon of the Winter Court eating cereal bars. What's your deal? What do you want?
We're really confused by that. Just Tom's just like, excuse me? I got here first. What's wrong with you?
As far as I knew, the only court that was to have any influence in this guild was supposed to be the food court. The winter court wasn't mentioned at any earlier point. Which I suppose is an issue on Roguefort's part, not the guild's.
I'm not associated with them with anymore. Leave it.
Gonna insight check that.
She's not even lying.
Yeah, no, but it still needs to insight check to believe you.
Yeah.
The body language doesn't change too much. The dragon still doesn't look like they like you too much. But then Coco turns and finally notices after the mention of cereal bars and winter corn is like, well, I mean, it doesn't look too bad. If she says she's not affiliated, she's probably not affiliated. I don't think we need to worry about inter-court politics here. Come on, why not try a fruit bowl and feel better? And she would, in fact, pull up a few different fruits in a bowl that she... They haven't been chopped yet, but it looks like the intent is to chop them and make them into a bowl. And also a tub of yogurt. Meg turns to look at that, perks up a little bit, gives you one last glare, and yeah, the two of them just walk to the kitchen counter as the cookie starts chopping up the fruit. If you want to try and give us the cereal bar, you can just set it on the counter. I want to prep a snack for Meg first. But thank you.
Lee places the cereal bar down next to the fruit bowl and shoves the final fish stick in her. She just eats the last one that she was able to nab.
I do have to apologize about Meg. Considering we just got away from the food court to join Roguefort's hunting party, we're a little touchy on the subject of other Fey courts at the moment. Or at least Meg is especially touchy. Meg has not gotten out much. If she'd say, like, moving her hand to the side of her mouth in a gossipy kind of way, the dragon would just huff. Hang on a minute. Hi. Sassy, I want my pencils back. Give me the dang pens. Thank you. Okay. Still, I am sorry about her. My name is Coconut Blossom Sugar Cookie. I just call her Meg. It's nice to meet you, Miss or Mr.
More.
Marana. Oh, that's a nice name. Meg, the dragon, just grumbles under her breath, and you need to roll a perception check to hear what she says.
If I remember right. Yes, I am remembering. No, don't listen. Okay. Hearing check. Let's go!
You hear the dragon grumble in a language you know you can understand. Yeah, Morana does sound about right.
You should check that ego of yours too, buddy.
The dragon glares and says nothing else. You watch as Coco, with an expert's touch, takes a knife and begins cutting apart melon, cantaloupe, watermelon, apples, and pears. She shuffles aside the pears for herself, but keeps the apples in the bowl. What were you saying?
I said normally Morana would try to steal something from the platter, but she has no interest in fruits.
Oh? Yeah? Okay, give me a moment. The kitty wants to go. One moment. Ow. Yes, I know. Give me a moment. You wanna go? Yeah. Go ahead and go. Silly, noisy baby girl. Ow! Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wish my legs were not in pain. That would be a preferred style of life. Ow. I would like to sit, please. Okay. Alright, let me move the cereal bowl, get my headphones back on, and get back into my normal position. Oof. Okay, we can continue.
Okay.
So there's melon, watermelon, cantaloupe, apple. The cookie cuts aside some pear for themselves, and then digs into some pomegranate and fig, splitting them kind of evenly between the both of them. The fruits for the dragon are then mixed into a yogurt bowl, where the apple cubes are mixed in, as are the various melon cubes. The smaller pieces to the pomegranate seeds are sprinkled on top. And then that's passed to her. Well, there isn't even amount of fig between them. She takes a little more for herself and just goes with some pear, some fig, and a few apple cubes in her yogurt bowl. She passes it over to the dragon and passes the dragon her share, and Meg happily takes it, just very... Compared to the brutish personality, she very gingerly takes the edge of the bowl with her mouth, careful not to spill it, and sets it down on the floor. The cookie decides to sit at the table, which is not far from you. So the three of you are kind of eating together, though you've finished your fish sticks. And so the dragon just begins carefully devouring a bowl of fruit and yogurt. So, Marana, that's the cookie talking. How long have you been at EGAD? What's it been like for you?
Pauses to think a moment, just like, hot. Very hot.
It is a jungle environment. I imagine that would make sense. Would be very toasty. Don't you have a cold room you can stay in? Or some cold magic that'll keep you nice and chilly?
No, I just typically fly between here and home.
And where would home be, since you said you're no longer welcome at the Winter Court?
Marana very politely asks if they have a map. A world map?
And the cookie's gonna reach into her pocket and pull up a map, yeah. Admittedly, when you first look at it, she kind of pulls out what appears to be a map of a unfamiliar settlement, then notices, shuffles that away, and then pulls up Inkwell's map. Inkwell's map is not in color. It looks hand-drawn and penned exclusively. But it does look like Inkwell, so, you know.
Marana pauses and she's like, no, a world map. Not the continent map.
We only got a map to Inkwell since that's where we would be going. I'm sorry, we don't have a world map.
Marana is trying to think on how far away it is, and then she just says, the very, very, very northmost of the planet.
Oh, I see. That's a distance for you to fly? How do you not tire out?
Soaring, baby.
I see. Meg still has to stretch the wings and get used to flying longer distances again. Meg hasn't really been flying for too long since we've been baked, but she's pretty good at flying. Maybe you two could compare at some point? Oh, please don't give her any ideas. Meg says with a mouthful of cantaloupe before going back to the bowl.
Marana's just rolling her eyes.
Would you also do me a favor? Would you roll me a perception check?
Okay. Again.
Let's just see if you notice this on the cookie's person.
Bink. 13, I don't know.
No, that works, actually.
Okay.
There are various accessories on the cookie, some of which are more casual looking, but around their neck is a necklace with what appears to be an eye encased in a form of crystal or raisin. Would you roll an Arcana check? With advantage, since you're a Feywild dragon.
Oh, okay. Bing. 15?
Do you have a oh no, okay, you said there was a 0 for your Arcana, right?
Yeah.
15 makes it. Most of the cookie's appearance is fine, and she's acting very nice. You haven't really insight checked her yet to see if she's trustworthy, but she seems sweet. But when you look over her appearance, there's one thing that kind of catches your eye. Another eye. Around her neck is a necklace which shows an oddly low poly looking eyeball strung onto a necklace. A very simple white and black cartoonish looking eye, you know, very, very simple. But when you look at it, you realize what it is. Around her neck is a hag's eye. A hag's eye is an item made by a hag that the hag can look through at any point if they're on the same plane to see whatever is going on through it. It's usually worn by servants of the hag, whether they're willing or not.
Marana leans forward and sniffs it.
The cookie would kind of lean away a bit, just lightly nudge the eye away. Oh, hey, what gives?
Smells funky.
Smells... Oh! I mean, it is an eye, so I imagine it's gonna smell funky.
He's gonna leave it alone at that point. She knows what it is, not gonna press further.
Mm-hmm. So, we haven't been here really long, but is EGAD nice in your perspective? Are the other guildmates nice? Is the guy in charge nice?
She nods.
Good. I haven't heard a lot about it from back in the food court. They didn't really talk too much, and the head chefs, they have their own perspectives, but I've been liking the first impression I've been getting. The younger members really seem weirdly jealous and competitive, though.
That's normal. That's very, very normal. Everybody's competitive at some level.
I mean, true. It's just, when I first showed up, there was this little boy that really seemed like he wanted to show off. At first, I didn't really think too much on it, because he said Rogue Fort taught him a few tricks, and I thought it was fun, but he brought it up really insistently.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Oh, little guy, got silver hair, about yay tall, has a gun, or two, maybe three.
The temptation to have Morana ask what is a gun.
Please, but also you can roll history to see if you have met Mad Lad at least.
I'm gonna very, very much doubt it. Yeah, no. Vague things, but nothing much else.
You think maybe you passed by the kid once, but you do not know the kid personally. It's a strong maybe. A 9
Sure.
barely fails. Well, okay, I guess that makes sense. But I'm hoping I could bring out the guild's full potential while I'm here. I mean, I can be competitive, but I don't really want to compete with any of Roguefort's new friends. Because he seems to have a lot of faith in the guild, and I want to prove him right.
Do you not see competition as sort of like as a for fun thing?
I mean, I do, but I'm not here to compete is the thing. I'm just here to help Roguefort. I mean, help Roguefort and slay dragons, but mostly help Roguefort. I mean, I think competition will be fun, but I want to keep my priorities straight. You know what I'm saying? And she just takes another spoonful of yogurt and fruit, stuffs it in.
Rana moves the cereal bar from the counter back to the table, and her ears kind of wiggle.
Oh yeah, and the cookie would remember that, and also take the cereal bar since you mentioned that. Cinnamon and sugar? This does look good. Do you just have a bunch of cereal bars on hand?
Who's asking?
Nobody's asking, I was just curious. It seems like a really good a really good snack to have if you're having trouble.
Morana glazes past the joke she was trying to make.
She wasn't trying to make a joke.
No, Morana was trying to make a joke.
Ah. Unfortunately, she didn't notice. I mean, the only snacks I have on my person are jellies. Want to see?
Sure.
And she's just gonna reach into her effects and pulls out several different bags full of what appear to be jelly or gelatin-based snacks. They come in all sorts of different shapes and colors. There's one that appears to have them in the shape of little goldfish that just shimmer a little yellow and orange in the light. There's another one that appears to have them in the shape of little slices of dragon fruit. There's another one that appears to have them in the shape of plums. They're in all sorts of different shapes. There's even a bag that appears to be full of star-shaped candy. See,
Nod and wiggle a little.
see,
They smell nice.
yeah, thank you. I made these myself. I'm able to eat fruit and vegetables, but most of my diet and strength is gained from having jelly snacks. And I also know Roguefort's diet is kind of limited because, as what he is, he doesn't really have the mouth that can chew things like fruit and vegetables very good anymore. So he has to subside on nectars and honeys and jellies. So I thought it'd be nice to make him a snack he can have regularly. She's gonna pop open the bag of goldfish-shaped jellies and is actually going to hold a handful out to you. Try one.
Things well that her stomach doesn't process fruity based stuff very well is going to take a one and just gingerly place it between her teeth.
The jelly doesn't actually taste fruit based.
Oh.
Like, you put it in your mouth, and you get the sort of flavor of fruit, but there's no actual fruit involved in it, you don't think. It's a good imitation to it, but no fruit involved. It just seems like a harmless jelly snack. It does leave your breath feeling fresh afterward, though. Nice.
This is very sweet. I will have to ask eventually if you would be willing to make some that I could bring home.
I mean, I could try and make you some right now if you want.
Not now, that'd be a bother.
No, it wouldn't be a bother to me. You said you like fish, right?
I love this. Have you ever had Arctic cod?
Can't say I have because I've never been to the Arctic.
Missing out. Very fresh and cold.
I can only imagine. I imagine once I get to travel more with Roquefort, we get to try all kinds of foods. Though, I'll get to try a little more since I actually have the mouth that can chew other stuff. But, here, give me just a minute. And she is, in fact, going to set her bowl down. The dragon sets a protective paw over the cookie's bowl of yogurt and fruit as if thinking you might still steal it, even though you've explicitly made it clear you prefer fish. And she just goes to the counter and pulls out some various tools, brings out her chef's tools, and you also notice reaches into the cabinet and... Oh, actually, this might help a little. I hope this doesn't sound like an unsanitary question. Would you have any fish juice on you?
No.
No marinating juices like that of tuna or salmon or anything?
I don't know. I normally just eat everything raw.
She looks a little exasperated at that, but shakes it off. Alright, guess we'll have to go for what I got. And she's gonna reach into her personal chef's kit and into the cabinet, look around a bit, and I'm gonna roll her investigation real fast.
Okay.
So, cook's utensils and investigation, that's a +7. There is not a lot, but she does successfully manage to find a can of tuna, in fact. Okay, so let's see. There are about... Ooh, 3 cans of tuna. That'll do. And you kind of watch as in a sort of montage selection, you watch as she pulls out one of many different, like, molding trays, you know, the kind that's, like, for making things in shapes. But this one is in the shape of, above board, clearly Swedish fish. And she gets to work getting the gelatin mixed up, you know, getting the sheets melted down in some water, getting the food coloring ready, and mixing it in with the tuna juice from the cans, while, of course, repackaging the tuna itself a little more appropriately. Besides, she can make tuna sandwiches with it later. That's not bad. And tuna casserole? Delish. But she's focused on making the jellies at the moment. Of course, gets that set up, gets it cooking, and gets it refrigerated. Okay, so that's going to take a few hours to set properly, but once it's set, you should have a bag of about 20 or so fish jellies.
You. And Murana, being the creature she is, is searching through the cabinets to find a cup she likes.
Alright, roll investigation.
If I remember right, that is nothing. Yep, I am correct. Oh!
You cannot find your cup, unfortunately.
She's going to drink from the sink.
Understandable, though both Dragon and Cookie, you don't notice it because you're drinking from the sink, do kind of give you a look, and then look between each other. The dragon says this in a language you don't understand, but grumbles to Coconut, basically. And I thought I was the feral one. Meg. The dragon just shrugs and continues eating at her fruit bowl. Once the cookie gets all the other stuff set aside to the dishwasher to get cleaned up later, she decides to go ahead and head back to the table and continue her meal, leaving you to drink from the sink.
Marana doesn't know what to do after she's had her drink. She's just standing there kind of awkwardly.
Mm-hmm.
And without thinking through it, so she's just like, so do you guys have any, like, favorite storybooks or whatever?
Storybooks? Wow, it's been a minute since I thought about those. Well, I mean, I haven't been baked for very long, so I haven't read too many, and I'm actually going to roll her deception. So. You can insight check her if you want.
And I will.
Because that is only an 11.
Oh,
Just misses by 1 point.
no.
1 point. It sails over your head. But if I had to think of a favorite, Meg, do you remember what my favorite is? The dragon thinks for a moment, then shrugs and says in the Draconic you can't understand, "You're saying that as if I've read your books." Oh yeah, I guess that's fair. But I do know there is a book that you like that you picked up from the material plane when you first showed up. It was one that had like this, it had a fine green leather cover with some golden embroidery and an emblem of a mountain on the front. Oh yeah, that one! There and Back Again, a halfling's tale. Above board, I feel I shouldn't need to make it obvious what that's referencing.
Yeah.
Okay, so, it's There and Back Again, a halfling's tale. It's a book that's apparently been written by a really esteemed author in Einquil here, but it's a bit of an older book. But I've been really engrossed in it so far, and it's been fun reading and doing the voices with Meg.
Like a peace offering, reaches into her hammer's face and pulls out a very old and worn and torn book that she's had her entire life in the Winter Court. One of the things that she had managed to bring in from home, and she's gonna offer it to them.
Huh? Oh, you...
Sorry.
Are you giving that to me? Oh, I couldn't take it.
I've read it far too many times already. And she's just going to insistently place the book in Coco's hands.
Yeah, just setting it in front of Coco, and she just kind of... There's a little bit of a shuffle back and forth between you, but... Basically just eventually she concedes and takes it. What is the book called?
The book is called and Misadventures of Callie Kitten, and it is purely written in children.
Aw, this looks so cute. Thank you. And she actually just kind of holds the book close before tucking it away in her bag. You do notice she doesn't necessarily maneuver with a hammer space like you do, or at least hasn't in front of you yet. Thank you. You know?
Yeah. Don't thank me. It was old anyway.
I mean, I was hoping to look forward to more of the stuff that the material plane had been releasing, so this is a really good start. I'll try to pick it up once I'm done with the other book.
Okay.
And for the most part, Cookie, Dragon, and you eat in relative, slightly awkward quiet. Do you want to be the one that breaks the silence? Or do you want one of them to be the one that breaks it?
I think Marana's just gonna straight up ask Meg if it's like, so what's that about Winter Court Dragon?
Meg kind of perks up a little, and it has a bit of a yogurt mustache going. And then just grumbles and says in the Draconic you can understand, basically. You have the look of one of those Winter Court dragons. It's in the sleekness of your skin and scale. It's in the amount of blubber in your gut.
Marana looks at her relatively thin stomach.
And it's also in the lights on your wings and on your face. Very easy to recognize.
Like very interested in it, and her wings sort of like shudder with excitement and is like, tell me more, please.
One eyebrow ridge kind of lifts in confusion and curiosity. Why is it you want me to explain what you are to you? You should very clearly know.
I don't know.
Really? What, did you grow up in a circus? Meg, what? A dragon should know what they are. It's common sense. Well, you don't know Marana's circumstances. Be a little nicer. I'll be as nice as I want. It should be obvious. Meg. And Coco gives her a bit of a stern look. I'm going to roll her for persuasion with advantage. I will treat her with respect when I feel like it. Besides, what would make a dragon not know about themselves anyway, aside from growing up in a circus or a box? How is it you don't know what you are? And she'd ask that looking directly at you.
Blatantly says, oh, my mom adopted me.
Oh. There's like a beat of silence, and the yellow and green dragon's expression does actually take a genuine surprise. Oh. Well, I suppose that would make sense then. Well, and Hoosh, just so my memory's refreshed, would you do me a favor and re-DM me the biological details or scientific name of the funny dragon that Marana is? So I have the details refreshed and I don't butcher them as soon as I say them?
I always forget what it's like
I know what they're based on, but I know you had actual scientific notes written down for me at one point. Okay, let me have a glance. Okay, let me pull up a scientific name for that real quick. That is not what I want to pull up real quick. I just want to make this accurate as possible, so give me a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm just gonna move the flashlight so I stop knocking it over, because I realize the microphone can now pick up when I knock shit over.
Woof. Oh, I'm out of water. Bummer. Oh well. Ma'am, here's your reminder, folks, to drink lots of water. It's going to be very hot.
It is already high UV here. Here is also your reminder, remember to wear sunscreen and stay protected, because skin cancer and sunburn are very real. You might not think you can fall victim to it. You would be wrong. Protect your skin. Protect yourself.
And make sure it's not the kids' version of sunscreen. Because 50 SPF ain't gonna cut it.
Okay, let me see if I can type this down correctly. Okay, so... making sure I type this right. Do any of these fucking roots relate to the moon? I would appreciate if one of these related to the moon in the fucking slightest. Any of these. At all.
I'm sorry for laughing. I'm sorry. It just sounded very funny.
No, you're good. You're good. Okay, what do you scientifically call the moon then, motherfucker? Give me this fucking thing. Designation Luna, Selene, Cynthia in Poetics. Designation Earth 1. Adjectives Lunar, Selenian, Cynthian, Moonly. Alright. Okay, give me just a moment. I think I've got the right thing written down. I hope it doesn't butcher this horribly in translation. So, Meg kind of looks you over for a minute, and at catching the fact that this is a genuine thing you're curious about, normally they would not bother with the time of day, but they don't. Admittedly, they haven't spoken with another dragon in. We're not saying how long because that's a funny haha spoiler, but. You do seem genuinely curious, and from earlier, you don't seem to have as much ill intent. They still trust you about as far as they can throw you, but you seem to just be curious, and you don't know any better. You're a subspecies of moonstone dragon, scientifically translated as Draconis hecacynthia. Also known as a oceanic moonstone dragon. You're more adapted to the coastal lifestyle, if not Arctic waters, as opposed to staying in just any vague biome the Feywilds have to offer. You're more Arctically adapted, so to speak. Think of yourself compared to them as a seal or a whale. That's what you are. A type of moonstone dragon that evolved more to aquatic living than to the sheer cold front of snow and ice and berg. Does that make sense? And let me also go ahead and type that down for you, so... Taken from the names for Moonstone, and one of the names of the moon, Cynthia. And Draconis, of course, is... You know...
Obvious.
Obviously. That just translates to dragon.
Weird.
It is weird. But dragons in general are weird, so I've taken care not to memorize semantics and specifics.
That was very specific of you, though.
I do have a vague approximation of knowledge on many things, she'd say with a smug, toothy smile. It's just a little locked up somewhere. Takes a little digging. Also, your relatives in the past have been very annoying, so it's, you know, better to be safe than sorry.
Sitting on her toes, just scoots a little closer. Her eyes are sparkling. You're very cool. Did you know that?
Roll me persuasion. With advantage, because you're now flattering him.
Now me immediately forgetting what persuasion was.
Oh, it sounds like Mom is watching Jurassic Park in the living room, judging by me hearing the traditional sounds of the original first movie Raptors. How fitting.
9 plus 7...
16.
16.
Yeah. Initially, it looked like Meg was gonna scoot away from you cartoonishly, but as soon as you say, you're very cool, they get a little surprised look, and then just, you watch as the fruity looking fluff of a mane they got kind of perks up a little bit. They kind of schmooze into it a bit. Well, I am. Thank you for noticing. Coco is just watching this very smugly. Just one cookie hand on their cheek. She's just leaning on the table watching. Has the fucking knife cat smile and everything. That and
Yeah.
also your relatives are apex predators compared to other moonstone dragons. Still love tricks and shiny things, but if you've ever met a killer whale or a dolphin, you understand what kind of jerks those predators can be. Usually hunting for sport or tormenting small mammals of any size. Of course, it's been a hot minute since I've ever met one of your kind, so might have changed, might not have. Who knows?
Hold on, I have to like double check something because my brain immediately wants to have Morana ask another question.
Uh-huh.
Do I have to do like an Arcana check to like? I should probably do one just in case, huh?
Well, explain what you're wanting to check first, before you roll it.
I wanted to check to see if Morana knows that most Moonstone dragons have sort of like a sleep foggy breath instead of sort of like just plain chilly.
Oh yeah, sure, that would be... Actually, that'd be more of a nature check. That would be more of a
Okay.
nature check. Because that... Dragons are not a magical anomaly, so...
Okay, so she don't get it because dumb little creature.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is, she can't ask the question. She doesn't know the difference.
Mm-hmm. That, and
Ronan.
most Moonstone dragons are notoriously either very whimsical, wholesome, or just playful. But the kind that Meg are thinking of, while playful, are not wholesome in any regard. If you've ever researched a killer whale or a seal, you know.
I know.
You know.
I know.
They might have some good bonding with their grandparents, but between them and their prey, mm. Yeah.
Scoots closer and just like, may I touch the fluff, please?
Oh, I suppose you may. Coco did do an excellent job brushing it.
Rana very gingerly starts scratching the fluff in all the places that she knows that she has that are like very kind of like, oh, this is a good spot to scratch sort of feel. So like on either side of the neck, just under the jawline, and
I am going to roll. I'm going to roll a self-control check. I'm going to roll a self-control check. She resists the urge to thump her foot or her tail. This is like the fucking joke of two dogs learning how to pet each other. So it's just like, we can pet other dogs. Meg is not used to being scratched by anyone that isn't Coco, but is not against this. And as you read it through, the first thing you note is refreshingly cool, or at least outright refreshingly cold is how it feels. And it does kind of feel like a fruity kind of fluff, but there is a sort of... There is a hair-like texture to it. So you can't really tell if it's just like fruit fluff that has been brushed up to look like a mane, or if it is just a mane that conveniently looks like fruit fluff. But kind of like a cat, she'll take the scratches for only a while. You recognize very clearly you don't get to scratch her long, because it's only like a minute or two before she tries to snap at your hand. But you're very used to that dragon behavior, so you're fine. It's like there's... There was that one post talking about, oh yes, they would love to have more pets, but eventually they are just overwhelmed by all the sensations, and they are just overcome with the urge to bite and scratch, even though they want pets. And your limit is only 1 minute of scritchies before you nearly lose fingers. Those are very sharp teeth.
The signs are clear that Meg has had enough. Morana backs off.
Yeah, like you can probably see it in the twitches of the tail and the way the pupils narrow. It's just like, okay, I know my limit. Not gonna lose fingers to a new friend, thank you. Cause I doubt Marana could grow those back.
No, she cannot.
Yeah.
But Morana wants to show off her trophy of the finger that she took from the dude.
Oh yeah, the fucking bandit, right.
Should I hammer space that?
Go ahead and hammer space it, fuck it, we ball.
Come on. Nice! Morana just casually pulls out a finger from her hammer space.
Coco nearly recoils from her bowl. Meg is the only one that's not phased.
I got this because some idiots were desecrating a tomb.
Oh, did you? Coco is trying not to look because, oh god, that's a finger. Oh god, that's a finger. Oh god, that's a finger. She wants to keep her appetite. Thankfully, you've been keeping it preserved with frost magic because otherwise it would smell very, very bad.
Yeah.
It would smell so fucking bad right now. But Meg actually does unabashedly just reach her head down and just sniff, sniff. Still smells a little bit like their leather. Let me guess. Thief?
Yeah.
Hmm.
These dudes were like ripping apart a tomb for my favorite boss lady.
Your favorite boss lady.
Yeah.
And who would your favorite boss lady be?
Is Morana just allowed to straight up say the name?
Yeah.
Boss bitch Umberly. Woo!
The dragon's eyebrows kind of lift. And Coco immediately glances back with a little exclamation point. You know, I'm not surprised that you would be a fan of Umberly. She does seem like she'd be quite fond of your type.
Yeah, we cool.
It's not often that there are others who would actually actively defend Umberly's graces. Is there any further context, or was it just someone fucked around and found out?
I'm gonna try to figure out how Morana would summarize it because she didn't understand like anything anybody was saying the entire time.
You didn't. I would say at least you would have the implication from the vision in the bowl that the body in the tomb was very close, if not at least a devoted follower of Umberly's, that was peacefully buried there before the bandits decided, nah, fuck that, and stole it for the rich sick guy. That's pretty much all you would know, though.
Morana tries to summarize it as like, these dudes came in and stole a bunch of junk from this tomb, and apparently the guy that the tomb was for got taken by these thieves, and then we kicked their butts.
I'm surprised Umberly didn't kick them herself. But
there's like a huge storm. I hate storms.
You know, I would be more surprised by that, but that makes sense. Meg would just nod, sagely and understanding. After all, your life is meant to be spent in the water. But you're not... Well, I suppose if you were raised away from the lifestyle of your ancestors, then it would make sense that you don't like storms. Since they usually stuck to the water, they normally didn't mind.
That and I got struck by lightning. Morana's like low-key trauma dumping.
Oh, lightning! Oh, and you didn't shake it off, you poor thing. There's just a pat of the tail and you can't tell whether Meg is being condescending or sympathetic. There is no distinction.
Morana doesn't care enough to even insight check.
Yeah.
Yeah, messed up my wing for like a long time and I couldn't fly and I was stuck in the ocean.
Ah. You should have been fine in the ocean. Again, your kind are meant to be able to swim better.
I don't have gills.
Oh, right. Right. Of course, you have to come up for air. I forgot you had that little evolutionary maladaptation. Meg. What? I'm just stating the truth, Coco. She just gives another glare and Meg rolls her eyes. Ugh. Fine. I am sorry that happened to you. I suppose that'll be your lesson in the future to just not get struck by lightning.
That or pay the boss lady some money to make sure I don't get struck by lightning.
Well, I suppose that would work. But in the same breath, you might get struck by a different deity depending. Still, I suppose paying her has its benefits. Not that I have to, of course. And Meg just sort of dusts her chest plate off a little bit, dusts off her chest plating.
Murata, using her little nails, starts scratching behind her own ear. Little bit of it itch.
Mm-hmm. Still, I must ask, how is it you were adopted and no one ever taught you anything?
I don't know.
Were you accepted willingly and equally into the court of your home, or were you taken in as more of a pet?
She doesn't know the difference at this point.
Oh, that's not a healthy sign. Can Meg insight check to see?
Yeah, absolutely. With advantage, because it's very clear on her face that she doesn't know why.
So, we can both agree that's not healthy, right? For poor Murata,
Not healthy at all.
16?
16, yeah, definitely gets it.
This is the first time Meg's sympathy looks a little more genuine, as Meg casts a look to Coco and says something in the draconic version you don't understand. Coco's expression softens up a bit, though she still looks a little smug watching, Meg actually talk to someone without fully speaking down to them. And nods. Says something back in that language you don't understand, before Meg turns back to you. Though I will say, if you want to try and figure something out, you can roll a nature check with disadvantage.
I'll take disadvantage over anything at this point.
Let's just see if you recognize what type of dragon that Meg is. Because it's a very rare type. At least in Feywild standards. Surprisingly, actually, 13 does kind of figure something. You get something, but not fully. You don't know a lot of different dragon species that would speak a language other than Draconic. Because, sure, the dragons in the Feywild would speak Sylvan. The dragons in the elemental planes would speak various different elemental languages. They might take languages depending on which people are near them or whoever they're oppressing. But they don't normally have any... They have different dialects of Draconic, but you can still usually understand each other. Nobody's made a separate dragon dialect altogether. Like, you have different tones and different dialects, but nobody's made an entire separate language, I guess is the better word. I worded that so poorly. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you made sense the first time. Don't worry.
Yeah. So you realize that the language they're using between each other is draconic. In the very least, it's using similar sounds and consonants, but it's used in a different way that makes you think maybe it's a spoken form of draconic code. This little secret language. And when you try and think of a dragon that would use a secret language, well, the first thought is maybe it's not just dragon exclusive, maybe they're just being a little personal between each other. The second is, and it at least narrows it down, there are a few very rare, if not sometimes considered extinct, subspecies of dragon that used to be able to speak different languages of Draconic that were not understood by most dragons. One of the suspects that would at least match the description, though you're not 100% sure because you unfortunately rolled a 13, are yellow dragons. All you know about them is they were secretive, selfish, and paranoid, and didn't participate when the dragons started having wars with each other. They decided to fuck right on off. That is all you know about them, and you certainly don't know enough to connect whether a yellow dragon fits the bill of this yellow-green dragon. But you do know there are some dragons that do still use Draconic, but it's a separate language to not be translated by their enemies, which are other dragons usually. So it's clear that she's using a different code when it comes to Coco. But you sadly don't have enough to piece together what type she is.
Dang.
She is very clearly a Feywild dragon, though. Definitely not a material plane type. Definitely not a material girl. I'm so sorry for the joke. I'm so sorry. But she just kind of glances back to you. Were you educated at all on the type of dragon you were?
No. All I knew is that I wanted to be a dancer, so...
Did you want to be a dancer? Or was it your adoptive family that wanted you to dance?
It was me.
Did they approve of that?
Never told her?
Why were you cast out?
I bit someone.
Who did you bite and why?
It was some other dude that was pulling on my tail, and I just bit him.
So you bit someone you didn't recognize, and for that you were banished from the entire court?
Yeah?
You understand how messed up that sounds, right?
I mean, it kind of, yeah.
And you weren't taught at all about the type of dragon you were. Are you sure you weren't just a pet?
She's shrinking back into herself because she's very, very, very unsure.
Because it sounds less like they were treating you as someone with her own hopes and desires. Less like they were treating you as a dragon worthy of reverence and respect and fear, and more like they were treating you like a puppy that got kicked out as soon as she happened to bite someone. Is this correct?
She kind of does barely a nod. She kind of understands it, but also doesn't at the same time.
Well, I suppose it was a good thing you got cast out then. 'Cause then you could run into a real dragon. One that can actually teach you how to be your better self. Not to sheath your claws and bare your teeth whenever anyone else gives you the order.
My claws don't sheath. She doesn't get it. She doesn't get it.
It's a saying. It's a word of phrase.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. If they didn't teach you the difference in that, they didn't teach you a damn thing at all. What matters is, you're out now. And while I can't imagine the guild would teach you much on what you are and what it means to be a dragon, I will say if you happen to need some extra tips, you could probably ask around a little. Other dragons might not be as willing to give you answers as me, but that's just what you expect of them at this point. Meg would just say that with a flat expression. Also, I hope the dog barking doesn't catch on the mic. I just realized that's gonna be an issue.
I didn't hear no dog, so we're good.
Okay. So if you happen to have any other questions, then perhaps if we're not occupied with babysitting Mr. Roguefort. It's not babysitting, it's bodyguarding. There's a difference. Meg wouldn't even turn to Coco. She'd know Coco was giving her a look, but she wouldn't even. Just be sure not to catch us on duty, and I might be able to share some tidbits. Just keep in mind, I'm not built for the same biome as you are, so don't expect me to teach you how to live in the Arctic waters like your ancestors did.
Thank you. You're very sweet. Man. She just to stop herself from getting too emotional, she grabs her tail and starts chewing on it.
Meg just kind of looks in pity at poor Marana here. This is very much just anxious dog behavior instead of actual true dragon behavior. Like, Meg is torn between just looking a little judgmental and looking like, oh, this poor thing. Buddy. It's like a wolf meeting a poor puppy that got locked up in, like, a puppy farm or something.
Oh,
like,
really sad.
wild animal versus neglected domesticated version. But she doesn't really have a way to comfort you and doesn't really want to comfort you, so she just continues finishing off her yogurt fruit bowl. Is there anything else Marana would like to ask or do? Because I can't imagine Coco having any further questions.
Marana, against her better judgment, would like to sniff at the fruit bowl.
It smells crisp, cool and sweet. Not as ice cold as, say, a fully frozen fish stick, but this has clearly been in the fridge long enough that it's got that refreshing chill to it. And your sensitive, draconic nose can catch every sharp and crisp scent, every sweet little tone of watermelon, cantaloupe, apple, the tartness of the pomegranate as it crunches in teeth. And of course that creamy sweetness to the yogurt. It smells very strange, but it's not bad, and it smells cold. It's not bad.
Not bad at all. She's not gonna dare lick it though. She's tempted to, but no.
Yeah, no. You're not sharing food bowls. That and Meg's paw is in fact big enough that if you try, it's just like one big paw is enough to cover your entire face and push you back like a cat. Like the picture of the one cat's owner basically trying to force their cat away from their fish, but the cat wants it so fucking bad, so their face looks like a pancake. It's like that. But you don't test your luck. They just eat in peace and quiet.
She's okay with testing today.
And after a few hours, eventually Coco does in fact pull out the tray and pops out the gummy fish, and you now have a bag of... Admittedly, it seems like they would just be... Again, they're more dragon safe than anything because gelatin is not necessarily a thing that would be good for other animals, but you're a dragon. You're fine. And it's essentially just little fish gummies. They smell appropriately salty sweet, and they don't taste bad. So yeah, you just have a bag about, let's roll you a 1d20, actually. I'm gonna roll you a different d20. That's not much better. Please. 2d20? Thank you. You have a bag of 20 fish gummies. Now keep in mind, these gummies, as they're made from the pure briny juices of tuna, have a very briny, salty smell and taste with a little bit of a sweet accent to it from the gelatin and something else in there. But it's healthy for you to have and it doesn't taste bad. It might taste bad to others, but not to you.
We're very much pockets it away in her hammer's face before bonking her head against the coconut sugar cookies, and then bonking Meg's paw thing.
You bonk Coco, and Coconut Blossom kind of pets you a little. When you try to bonk Meg, Meg politely swats you on the head instead, but you at least fully recognize this is not an offensive or abusive gesture. This is just the playful no. Like, you have had conversation, but the other animal has not fully recognized you enough to allow you the head bonk. So you get a head swat instead. But it's not like an actual strike. It's just a bat.
Yeah.
But yeah. The rest of the day, since you already were coming back from hunting anyway, so this is just your relaxing time, is spent in relative peace and quiet. Eventually the rain moves in and the temperatures cool down enough for you that it feels quite refreshing. And it's honestly refreshing for the others as well. You do at least know...
Splash in the puddles.
What?
Time to splash in puddles.
You can splash in puddles. Coconut's not going outside or going near the water because cookies don't take to water good.
Yeah.
Meg, on the other hand, you do not at least occasionally watches you from the window, but aside from that, while your gut feeling tells you that they stay in the treehouse, you don't see them again for the day. And Marana just enjoys the puddles as the rainy day moves on. And the rest of the guild is definitely going to have to cope with the fact that they now have 2 wild animals in the guild. It's just one of them is a little more refined than the other. And has a lot more attitude. There are now officially 2 of them. Technically there'd be 3, but Construct doesn't act nearly as much like a feral little cave beastie as either of you, so you know. And that feels like a good stopping point.
Yeah.
Also because I need to use the bathroom. I hope you all had fun listening, and Hoosh, I hope you had fun interacting with Coco and Meg.
I love them. I love them, Your Honor.
And I love Marana, and I hope Marana gets better stuff, because buddy. But in the meantime, thank you for listening. Remember to stay hydrated and take care of your skin and your body, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye!